Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, or the Air Krown Crypto channel, or just that weird place on the very corners of the interwebs here. And we have plenty to talk about right now since we last spoke, which was only just a few hours ago. Unfortunately, I was abruptly cut off because my internet actually went out. I had to call the internet service provider, and they let me know that there was like some major issue. They even told me that it was going to take like another 4 to 5 hours to get fixed, and luckily, I guess it got fixed faster than that. So I wanted to record a video to kind of come right back out after this dump, as literally the stream cut out maybe like 10 to 15 minutes right before that, and talk about kind of what we're looking for what this kind of looks like over the next few weeks here, and what the damage has, or what sort of damage has been done. So with that in mind, I am going to go directly into the charts right now. We don't have any more announcements to get into. We've already done all that good stuff. Don't forget to herp and derp and like your herp button, or whatever the fuck that is. No, just kidding, man. Anyways, okay, so what do we have over here? All right, so we did identify in this morning's video that Bitcoin put in a lower high right here on your short and medium term timeframes. We saw all sorts of hidden bearish divergence drives on all of our timeframes, even up to, I believe, a daily. Actually, here's your 12-hour, which just got confirmed about 37 minutes ago, and the daily is going to be coming a little bit later tonight with getting its first sort of closure with inside the bearish control zone as well. Not necessarily the picture of strength and fitness here. With that in mind, however, there's going to be bounces along the way. Things don't go down in a straight line, nor do they go up in a straight line. Typically goes, in a bit of a stair-stepping or ladder-ish type fashion. And right now, Bitcoin is breaking below that critical area right here that we identified as the bottom side of this particular formation, which was a descending triangle, actually, as we did have a slew of lower highs at about 55,500. That did initiate a measure move a little bit lower, of which we are kind of playing that out right now, relevant for the next, few days here, perhaps. And that is pointed down to about 52,700 or so. And I mean, we kind of are within a sticky area right now, regardless of that, between about 53.5 and that upper $52,000 territory. I would be looking for short-term bounces around there. However, short-term bounces are very likely just that. The big bad breakdown has happened, and as we are going to look into higher-term time frames soon enough, very likely does trade lower over the next few weeks here. With that in mind, what would negate this? What would essentially flip Bitcoin back onto being good old girthy green dildos and bullish AF, as the technical term? Well, back above that last rejective high right there would actually be pretty damn good. And what do we see? 59,000, well, basically 59,000 bucks, even on a 4-hour close, would look pretty damn good. Pretty damn far away, but that's what would be required in this case. And what do we have over here on a daily? Well, okay, so let's get into the fun stuff now. Actually, not necessarily on a daily. I need to make sure that I have my notes present. They are present right there. Okay, beautiful. All right, so first and foremost, what was the thing that we identified coming into this week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago? That was the shooting star dildo that we saw on the early November close, on the 8th of November, actually. The following week after that confirmed this as a local high by closing below the low side of it, or just by taking out the low side of it. That was at 63,500-ish region. That was very, very critical for making us look for some more prolonged downside over time. With that in mind, we also did confirm regular drives of bearish divergence 1, 2, 3 connect the highs, not just on the weekly, but also on the 5-day as well. It's actually not going to populate it here, but yes, rest assured that this is certainly bearish divergence, and the bi-weekly is going to be pretty much, all but confirmed here as well, though it technically doesn't get fully confirmed until the end of next week. But I do think that this is rather front-runnable, as we do have a slew of lower highs right there. Not great. Anyways, with that in mind, we do see that Bitcoin is playing out that first move down to what would be the technical target of about the 21 exponential average on both the weekly and the 5-day, which, should be pretty damn close to each other anyways. And guess where the weekly one is? Just a little bit lower than where we're at right now, at that 52,750 number, which is confluent with the technical based off of this as a descending triangle. So with all of that in mind, Bitcoin very likely does play out a bit of a bounce somewhere, either where we're at right now at about that 53,500 low, or just ever so slightly lower than that. I don't think that Bitcoin would just necessarily shit the bed completely just below there without having at least a short and medium term time frame bounce first. And hey, if the bounce gets back above 59,000 bucks, okay, fair enough. It's all plan B targets after that, I guess. But for right now, there are a few other things to be aware of, and does make me believe that we do see this correction take a little bit longer. So first and foremost, again, this is not happening today. This is not happening tomorrow. It's probably not even happening this week, or it's very unlikely to happen this week. Probably not even happening next week as well. But over time, I would be looking for Bitcoin to work its way lower. Now, lower within the context of a macro uptrend does not necessarily mean a full-on reversal. We actually do not have even a reversal on this chart until Bitcoin really starts to close weeklies below about 43,000 to 44,000 bucks. So, put this into context that when we are dealing with big numbers here, obviously, that's going to have humongous ranges. That's the problem of just going to the moon and then also coming back down to Earth. Anyways, okay, let me just go through my notes right here. Okay, we got that, we got that. All right, so we've spoken about all of the bearish divergences on those higher time frames. Of course, we also do see momentum oscillators turning down at the same time as well, as we identified over this past week when we got the fresh cross down on the 15th of November closure. That is your weekly stochastic right there, and that's remaining downside as long as below 65,400. So fair enough. Bi-weekly is not a humongous issue just yet, but below 46,000 bucks, yeah, big issues, of course. Anyways. So we do have momentum, or obviously we have momentum oscillators, and we do have volatility turning up alongside this dumbola, and also technical targets and technical formations all pointed lower. So the question is, where is a potential low for this? Not necessarily like a bounce, because we've already spoken about this area right here. Around this region right here is more or less bouncy for the short-term time frames. Also coming in from this major area over here, and this last consolidation from early October. A somewhat rather short one, but probably does get a little bit of respect there regardless. Anyways, where would I be looking towards in this case? Well, because we do have bi-weekly regular bearish divergence come off the highs right there, I typically do like to target around the 21 exponential average, which is currently situated around 46,000 bucks. I do think that that's about as low as I would want to see things go if Bitcoin is going to be more long-term bullish, which I still do think that it is. Doesn't really destroy anything for me on the macro scale, for example, but as I've been postulating on some of those more long-term videos, I'm just led to believe from the data and statistics, which you can, again, view and verify for yourself on those videos, of which I uploaded a new one last Sunday in this case. I do think that the cycle probably goes on until middle of next year at earliest, actually, and at latest maybe like Q4 of 2022 in this case. Anyways, for what it's worth right now, does that mean that we can play a more prolonged correction maybe for the next month or so? Perhaps yes, and that would be sort of the edge of where I'd be looking for. That'd still be on a higher low on both a weekly and bi-weekly, and pretty much every time frame that matters for macro direction. Obviously, that'd be quite painful, for many people who are over leveraged in this case. But this market is quite over leveraged, so perhaps that is needed. 5-day 55 is also coming within that region as well, a little bit higher, about 47,000 bucks. And I believe nothing else actually is of relevance right there. So what we can also do is we also pull out a Fibonacci retracement for a bullish retracement here, which we've done before, and you can already see my LARP lines right there. But where would the 0.5 be? That would be about 50,000 bucks. Okay, that's another area of interest. I'd say that's on the top end of where I'd be looking for. Also kind of confluent with this last little macro high that we saw, or sorry, not macro high, but weekly high that we saw in late August. So these are typically, bounce areas regardless. And then we see the 618 Fibonacci retracement, which is, thought of as a golden pocket and at the very least a bounce zone. And typically, a lot of people are just gonna be buying there just by the nature of it, is actually around 46,000 bucks. Now, if I do take this on a wick basis, it's gonna be a little bit lower. If I do take it on a closing basis, it's gonna be, and I should actually take it from the range closing low. There we go. And right there, it's gonna be actually about the same, 46,500 or so. So anywhere around there, I do think over the next, month and a half, between about 50,000 and, 47,000 bucks is fair game. Could we potentially see a major low at 53,500? Possible, yes, but in order for that, I think it's a little bit less likely, all things considered, with all the higher term time frames putting in bearish divergence plus weekly momentum oscillators turning down. This is kind of the bullish look to me, is that Bitcoin does something like this. Now, did we get this bounce over here? No, I don't think so, and that's why it's a LARP line. Price action can take a million, forms. It's really silly to do these sorts of things. It's fun to do. It's great for like the social media so that you can, tell everyone that you called it and all this good stuff, and hey, fair enough. But at the end of the day, you get paid for your fucking trades, not for drawing lines on a chart, unfortunately. Or I don't know, maybe some people do. Anyways, for what it's worth, perhaps something like this, which would actually still be long-term bullish, by the way. The weekly 55 is going to, as you can kind of draw a regression in here, or not necessarily a regression, but just an extension in here, probably going to align with that area, within the next, within the next month or so, most likely. So if Bitcoin were to come down around there, that would actually still be a macro higher low, and probably be enough to frustrate the shit out of everyone, reset all of momentum oscillators, and, well, this would still be one massive ascending triangle. And if it is an ascending triangle, then we'd be able to do something like this for a technical target to the upside. And there's actually your plan B target. There's your $91,000 plus dollar target. So, still well and far away. And validation for that would be needed above about 65,500 or so. So I do think it's going to be a while before that happens. But I'm still long-term bullish on Bitcoin, of course, or until proven otherwise, essentially. Okay, just lost my damn phone right there. So let me pull this back up. Okay, cool. So let's also talk about a few other things that do kind of add confluence towards, a further retracement here. So I'm going to bring this over to a more macro chart, and I'm going to go to the last major run that we saw in Bitcoin land, which was in 2017 all the way, or basically 2016 to 2018 right here, of which we saw several pullbacks along this whole way. And not only did all these pullbacks come down pretty much to the weekly 21, which we're pretty much already there already, but you'll notice that they all had about the same pullback percentage as well. This first one over here, about 20, just under 27%. This one over here, about 30% right there. This one over here, about 32%. Not doing these super accurate, but you kind of get the point. This one over here, about 30.5%. This one over here, another 35%. This one over here, about 35% again. And this one right here, about 27.5%, close enough to 30%. So on average, about 30% pullback. Let's just play around with the numbers for a second and see what 30% shaved off of our current high would look like. And what do you know? That puts Bitcoin just below 50,000 bucks. That'll be on a wick basis. If we did this on a closing basis, 30% puts Bitcoin at about 45,000 bucks. So again, anywhere between 46 and 50,000 is kind of where I'm looking towards. Could it get front run a little bit? Yes, but ultimately that's kind of where I'd be looking for on a potential macro high or low, which would be of great interest to well, at least myself. So let's see, what else can we do right here? We got the fibs, we got the retracements. We got the moving averages, and yes, there's one last thing that I want to go over here as well, and that's going to be, of course, the log curve chart. Now, the log curve chart is interesting to me because not only does it have implications with the macro all-time highs always being put in at the red zone, and obviously the macro all-time lows being put in at the bottom of the green zone, but these mid-cycle consolidations. These mid-cycle consolidations that you see all the way through here do tend to hold within the yellow zone. You can see the last one, or not the last one would be over here where Bitcoin did come into the yellow zone, boom, test it and back up. That one actually rather painless. This one over here, a lot more painful as Bitcoin, first blew up its top and came back down, holds it, rallies back up, even gets a quick little flash dump off right here too to test the bottom side of it. And then of course this one, just blasted right on through as well. But basically, as long as Bitcoin holds the yellow zone, I do consider this, still a bullish consolidation on the macro, getting ready for a long term. This again could be like a half year to a year out. Move towards the top side of the red zone. And right now, where's the bottom point of the yellow zone? 48,000 bucks. So would it be relevant to say that Bitcoin come down there? Yeah, absolutely. Would it be problematic if Bitcoin starts to close below there? Yes. We can get wicks below, yes, but I wouldn't want to see closures below. That would be rather concerning. If that were to happen, I would be looking probably for, I guess, another test to the top side of the green zone, which is rising up somewhat rapidly, currently at around about 39,000 bucks or so, but is rising over time. So that'd be the hopium right there. Okay, so we're 13 minutes into this video. I think that describes pretty much everything that I wanted to get on right here, just because we've seen the initial move right here. Again, short term, probably more bouncy than not, but I'm not interested in trading these bounces right here, except for extremely quick scalps, because when this thing actually loses this level, it probably has another nice another little dump off. And what's the news kind of perpetuating this? It has something to do with the new flu variant or whatever the hell it is. Look, there's always a narrative with it, right? But all markets are dumping kind of in concert right here, and that is what you do expect. Anyways, I am going to shut off this video right there. I hope that this one serves you well, and again, be aware of where the picture changes, but overall, I expect that's probably what we're looking at for a while here. So hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.